everyone, and welcome to Grassroots Racer 2022. I hope everyone had a good break and had some time to relax before the racing season kicks off again. Tonight, I'm looking forward to speaking with my first guest of the year, Tony Moore, who has competed in rallies and has driven some pretty cool cars. So welcome, Tony, and how are you today?
Good, thanks, Ayrton. Very good, thank you.
Tony, what inspired your passion for motorsport?
Look, I don't think you can ever put a finger on it, really. Certainly, I come from a large family, and I was the only one who was really interested in cars and motorsport. But it probably wasn't till I was always interested in cars, but it probably wasn't till I was in my 30s when my nephews needed to learn to drive, so I took them out to the car club and got donated an old Nissan Silvia, and we took it out there to teach them to drive, and then I got a little bit more addicted than they did.
Did you end up doing anything to the Nissan, or was it just stock?
It was a standard non-turbo S13 Silvia, but we, as part of doing it up, we did some panel beating and painted it up and put some wheels on it, and also took it up to Winton a couple of times to get them to drive up there. So
the question is, did they learn how to drive it?
They actually drove pretty well, but they just didn't have that that extra bit, I suppose. They enjoyed driving, but I think they hated getting beaten by their uncles. Might have put them off.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too happy if my uncle bet me in a race car. But what was your first car that you started racing in? Was it the Nissan?
Look, going back to when I was probably 18 or 19, I had a Mark 1 Escort, and I did a couple of hill climbs and track days at Winton and Phillip Island, I think, and that was about it for about 20 years. And then the Silvia was the first car we had on gravel, and then I had a little BMW 3 Series, and then we built the XL to go rallying.
You said that you did a couple track days at Winton and Phillip Island, so you then went onto the dirt and the gravel and stuff like that. Is it difficult to sort of get the hang of that stuff?
I actually think I think there's a lot of skill in the dirt. It teaches you to be comfortable with the car moving around and really feeling the levels of grip. So I didn't find too much difficulty. The dirt I like a lot better. It's a lot more fun. I just like the look of circuit cars better.
I'm a little bit the same, but I like the dirt and the asphalt. To be honest, they're both really nice to drive on. So when was your first rally in XL?
It was November 2007. It was the last round of the Victorian Championships for that year, and we just thought we'd go and see how we went and experience a rally. It was also a shorter rally for a couple of the stages had been cancelled, I think. So it was a good chance, and I was doing it with my wife, so she was navigating for me, and it was getting a car finished, getting to a rally, trying to understand everything we had to do. It was a lot to take in for the first time.
Do you remember much about the event? Like, did you have any mechanical failures or anything bad like that?
No, we didn't. Well, we broke a passenger side mirror, and a bit of that came in the car, so that taught us to keep the windows up, and also not to hit the edge of bridges. But that was the only issue we had. It was great fun, and I was probably trying a little bit harder than I should have been for my first rally. But
well, I guess you can get a little bit under pressure, and bridges are quite hard to get onto when you're sliding around really quickly. I haven't done a rally yet, but I do have a game on my computer where it's like you race in the WRC, and you're drifting around, you're trying to get on the bridge, and it's really tight. So I can imagine a lot of drivers would have had trouble there too.
Yeah, look, I think for us, it was also understanding. They give you a road book and tell you where all these things are, but we had a little bit of trouble hearing each other. So I'm sure my wife was yelling at the top of her voice that there was a bridge coming up around the next corner. I probably didn't hear it, but that was all part of learning. In the games, I'm guessing you get told what the corners are. Yeah, we just didn't have a very good intercom, so I couldn't hear very well what she was saying.
Yeah, and obviously you said that that was your first rally. Did you have any drivers or driver that you looked up to?
Look, at that stage, I suppose we'd been just looking at the XLs. I mean, I don't particularly have any, heroes like Sebastian Loebs or Sebastian Vettels or those sorts of things. But in the XLs, I suppose it was just trying to benchmark yourself against the best drivers at that stage. And at that stage, it was Paul Batten. And, he was regularly putting his XL into the top 10 in the Victorian Championship. You're beating four-wheel drives and other things. So I suppose you could see that he had a great amount of skill. And I think in our first rally, I think we might have been 6 seconds a kilometre slower than he was. So fairly slow. But, once you get used to very little to do with the car and a lot to do with being used to rallying and being comfortable with what the road book meant and how much you had to slow down. So, yeah.
Yeah. And after racing the XL, I'm correct in saying you did race a Hyundai Getz as well?
We did. Yes, we did. We did the XLs for a few years, and we ended up getting that 6 seconds back and winning the championship, which I can't even remember what year that was. Actually, it might have been 2010. And then one of the guys who'd set up the XL series built a Getz and asked us to drive it in the Australian Rally Championship. So it was supposed to be a class for standard road cars, small four-cylinder non-turbos, eco class they called it, and there were supposed to be 3 or 4 competitors, but yeah, only a couple turned up at a couple of events, whereas we did all of the events. But yeah, it was a good little car. Slower than the XL, I thought. But
so was the Hyundai Getz when you raced that was at the International Rally of Queensland, yes?
We did 3 rallies in it. That's all we needed to win the championship. So we did Adelaide, South Australia, which was I can't remember what they called that. And then we did Queensland, and we did Coffs Harbour, which was at that stage was a WRC event, which was pretty cool. You're sitting in the Parc Fermé with Sebastian Loeb next to you, and yeah.
Do you remember much about Coffs Harbour?
I remember that the roads were amazing. We spent a lot of time on the accelerator and not much time on the brake. There's some really fast roads. Great fun, great roads. And I'd love to go back up there in something a bit faster than what our Getz was.
Yeah. So you would have been going up the long hills and stuff with the roundabouts, or not really?
Look, I don't think at that stage they had that stage in. This was in 2011, I think we went up there. So yeah, it wasn't a stage they had in, but there was certainly lots of, long, fast, open roads. Sort of like bitumen highways with dirt.
Yeah. Because once again, I did a street circuit there on one of my games, so I thought it was sort of like a make-believe track. Someone made it out of like what they saw on Google Earth, I guess, and sort of mapped out the track a little bit, and then
Okay, look,
so-
they did. There was a street stage or half a street stage on the beach, but I think they changed it later on to one around the roundabouts. Yeah.
So you raced a Ford. Hold on, I'm trying to guess the models. Fiesta, ST, and R1. Yeah.
Two different cars. So there was a Fiesta R1, which is a smaller Ford. I know most people get Fiestas and Focuses muddled up if you're not into modern Fords. But yeah, the Fiesta was a smaller car and was just basically a standard engine. It was pretty much like the XL, just in the standard engine, no limited slip diffs, no tuning, just a 1600 5-speed manual, whereas the Focus is a serious race car, sequential gearbox, massive brakes, turbo, 2-litre. Probably not the ideal rally car. It's pretty big, it's pretty fat and tall and heavy, but certainly makes me smile. The Focus was built by Alan Rowe in Shepparton, and he ran it in the ARC when the ARC was 2-wheel drive, and then decided to get rid of it. So we bought it and then have continued to refine it and make it a bit better than what it was and a bit lighter. So all the good bits, the brakes and the suspension and everything were already done.
You also said that the Ford Fiesta wasn't like too different to the Hyundai. What about in performance on the track and stuff? Was there much of a difference?
It was really interesting. It was actually slower to begin with until we got some of the suspension bits and pieces worked out. And then it was faster, but not heaps faster. So yeah, we were trying to see, if there was moving out of XLs, whether there was a next step up that sort of made cars a little bit faster and more competitive. So it was sort of a venture to see if the Fiestas were not a cheaper way to go, but the next step from the XLs.
Yeah. And then I guess another question I have for you is, you said that you did a bit of co-driving with your wife. Have you had many different co-drivers, or did you just sort of team up with her?
Look, I certainly started out with her, and then we had a little bit of an incident where the wheel came off on the Fiesta coming over the top of the hill once, which got her a little bit scared, and then just other things in life. We had a couple of dogs that she had to look after, and then I had a couple of Navigators, and the one I've got now we've had for quite a few years, and we work pretty good together. And that's Troy Hutchins. He's in Bendigo, and he also enjoys rallying and helps out fixing the car and welding stuff up, and so it's good to have someone who can help out and also has got a real passion for rallying.
Explain to the viewers how important it is to have a good co-driver, and can it make a difference to how well you perform as a team?
Look, I think it's I'm always surprised that some people change regularly. I mean, I think it's extremely important, and the top guys, they will pay good navigators to come and sit with them, because it can make a massive difference. Like, I know some of the navigators, some of the other guys have used that these are people that they go through all the notes. They'll tell the service crew what time they need to be, where, and how much fuel they need to put in, and check the tyres, make sure everything's organised before all the rallies. And then also a good one, can really help you when you're actually driving, apart from telling you where to go. But it's also about feeling how you're driving to tell you whether they'll know whether they think you're pushing hard enough or too hard. So they can, if you get too excited, they can calm you down. If you're not pushing hard enough, they can also push you on, and it's can make a decent difference. Very important, I think.
We actually had a navigator on here. He competed. He done like Targa. I think he did an Australian Rally Championship. His name's Matthew Harriet. He lives in Queensland. He's done a bit of navigating. So it was good to talk to him and get two different perspectives. You're a driver and he's a co-driver.
Look, I think some people would underestimate. I mean, as a joke, you often call them ballast, in that they're just a weight sitting on the other side of the car, but they really are. The amount of things they can help with is really makes a big difference. But on a personal side, it's also good to compete in something that you're doing as a team. That you're actually in there with someone to talk to. That I don't know, you get a lot of enjoyment out of both winning together and having someone to whinge to when you're sitting on the side of the road because you've mucked up a corner or missed a call or driven off the edge somewhere.
They're all there for these. They're all there to the highs and lows. Do you have any advice though for someone who's starting out and competing in rallies?
Well, look, I probably wouldn't do what I did, which was, I think the first rally we went to was the first time I'd been to a rally. So I think it's probably a good idea to go and help someone else who's rallying to see what goes on and how they book in. And it's probably not a bad idea to start as a co-driver, just so you can understand all the paperwork side of things and timing and those bits and pieces. Because it certainly gives you an appreciation then as a driver of what's possible. And start with something cheap that you're not too worried about crashing into a tree, which was why I started in an XL, because I didn't particularly like XLs. I actually thought they were a pretty ugly looking car. And I thought, well, if I'm going to wrap something around a tree, I don't want to wrap an Escort around a tree. I'd rather wrap a Hyundai XL around a tree, which I never ended up doing. But when you don't love the car as much, it's a lot easier to push it a bit harder.
Yeah, I guess that's why we bought the Getz. It was a good car to start out in, and it was sort of a cheap, affordable car. And like you said, if it did end up in a tree, at least it's not an Escort.
Exactly. And look, they're and you'll appreciate this, they're pretty reliable. You can really flog the crap out of them, so to speak, and they just keep going.
Yeah, I'm surprised. The only real problems I've had with my Getz was the wheel bearing collapsing, which I've changed the wheels now. So it should be okay, hopefully, to, put rally tyres on it and stuff now. And then the coil leads were earthing out, so that was the only real troubles I had with it. Do you have any plans for 2022?
The plan is to just keep tweaking the Focus ST a bit and run that in the Victorian Championship again. We're not, we're not right up the top of the competition. We do all right, but there's 2021 we had Adrian Stratford, who I think you've spoken to, and Brendan Reeves competing in two-wheel drive, and they're sort of world level drivers, and I'm certainly not, but we still enjoy it quite a lot, to the point there where I think last year, in the first rally of the year, we came fourth outright, but we were third two-wheel drive. So, those guys are running right at the front. So plan is to run that in the Victorian Championship. And then I've got a Honda Civic we're building, hopefully to do an Alpine event, which is an event where they run older cars, non-turbo cars. So hoping to have that ready by November, but may not happen that quick.
The one that was at the sale yards last year?
No, but I've got one like that I'm trying to build as a rally car. So to look sort of the same, but but a rally car. So a bit higher, rally tyres, obviously.
Yeah, that sounds like good plan. Like, do you have any sponsors though who are going to make this possible?
Look, Bendigo Tyre Centre always look after me, and Scott at Bendigo Tyre Centre has always been really good, amazing with wheel alignments and tyre knowledge. So all stuff that as you'd appreciate, as you learn things, you learn how important tyres are and suspension are, and the right brakes are. And it's not until you've had good ones that you really appreciate how bad the ones you used to have were. So, he's the main sponsor, but certainly get help from lots of other people. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Tony, and thanks for speaking to me and being my first guest for 2022. It's been great. It's been great hearing about your motorsport journey, and I wish you all the best for the season ahead in building that Honda Civic. And hopefully I'll be able to see you race sometime. For everyone else getting back on track, remember to drive fast and take chances. I hope I'm back on track soon again, and tune in to Filippin Mad Motorsport for all the latest updates.
All right, thanks, Ayrton. No.
All right, thanks, Tony.